If you think modern-day crime families are bad, just wait until you hear about the Borgias. Corruption, betrayal, murder, and plenty of scandal. This family had it all. From poisoned dinners to affairs that shocked even the Vatican, today we're diving into the juiciest gossip, crimes, and half-truths surrounding the Borgia family. They didn't just want power, they were willing to do anything to get it. Buckle up, because this is one wild ride through Renaissance Italy, where the Borgias ruled with both charm and poison. Meet the Borgias, the rise to power. This is the man behind all the chaos, Rodrigo Borgia. Rodrigo was a Spanish cardinal who came to Rome in the mid-15th century. But his ambition was bigger than just wearing fancy robes. He wanted the top job, the papacy. And in 1492, he bought, bribed, and schemed his way to becoming Pope Alexander VI. You heard that right? This guy bribed his way into the Vatican. And once Rodrigo became Pope, it was time for the Borgia family to run the show. But this wasn't your typical papal reign. It was more like an episode of The Godfather meets Renaissance Italy. The Borgias quickly built a network of power. Rodrigo used the Vatican like his own personal mafia headquarters. And of course, his first priority was making sure his children, Caesar and Lucrezia, had everything they needed to dominate Italy. This family didn't just want influence, they wanted a dynasty. Cesare Borgia, the ruthless son. Meet Rodrigo's son, Cesare Borgia. This guy was basically the Renaissance version of a mafia enforcer. Caesar wasn't content to sit in his father's shadow. He wanted his own power. So what did he do? He became a cardinal naturally. But that wasn't enough for him. Caesar ditched the church robes for a suit of armor and set out to conquer Italy, one bloody battle at a time. And trust me, Caesar didn't mind getting his hands dirty. There were a load of rumors about how far he would go to get what he wanted. Rumors of murder, betrayal, and even fratricide. Speaking of murder, let's dig into the mysterious death of his brother, Juan Borgia. Juan's body was found floating in the Tiber River, and let's just say Caesar wasn't exactly crying at the funeral. Many believe Caesar had his own brother killed in a power struggle. After all, why share the family fortune when you can have it all? But wait, it gets worse. Caesar was also accused of using violence and blackmail to take control of Italian cities. He eliminated anyone who stood in his way. You could say he was one of the first real-life crime bosses, building his empire through blood and intimidation. Lucrezia Borgia, the femme fatale or misunderstood woman? Last but not least, the Borgia family's leading lady, Lucrezia Borgia. Lucrezia's reputation has been dragged through the mud for centuries. She's been called a poisoner, a seductress, and a puppet for her father and brother's schemes. But was she really the femme fatale history paints her as? One of the most scandalous rumors about Lucrezia was that she used a poison ring to discreetly offer enemies at parties. Imagine that, you're at dinner, she gives you a little smile, pours you a glass of wine, and bam, you're done for by dessert. But here's the thing, there's no hard evidence that Lucrezia actually poisoned anyone. Most of this could be gossip from her enemies. Lucrezia was married off 3 times by her father, each time to someone politically convenient. But the juiciest gossip? People whispered that Lucrezia had an affair with her own brother, Caesar, and possibly even her father, Pope Alexander VI. It sounds like the plot of a soap opera, but it's mostly hearsay spread by their enemies. Was Lucrezia a master manipulator, or was she just caught in the middle of the Borgia's power plays? Hard to say, but what's certain is that her name became forever linked to scandal, whether or not she deserved it. The Borgia family's favorite tool, poison. Do you know what's the Borgia family's favorite weapon? Yes, you guessed right, poison. This family didn't need swords to take down their enemies when they had a far subtler option. According to the gossip, the Borgias were masters of poison, especially one called Cantarella. Supposedly, they used it to eliminate rivals and even some allies when it suited them. Rumor has it, if you got invited to a Borgia dinner party, you'd be wise to bring your own food taster. Anyone who opposed the family seemed to disappear mysteriously, or die in their sleep. Coincidence? Maybe. But if you asked the Borgia's enemies, they'd say it was all part of the family's deadly charm. Pope Alexander VI himself wasn't above using poison to get rid of his enemies. The Borgias would invite rivals to lavish banquets, and only certain guests would survive until dessert. But as much as this sounds like something out of a movie, it's hard to know how much of it was true and how much was just Renaissance gossip. Caesar's downfall and the family's decline. Cesare Borgia seemed unstoppable at the height of his power. He had conquered large parts of Italy, built alliances, and was well on his way to creating his own kingdom. But here's the twist. His ambition got the better of him. When his father, Pope Alexander VI, suddenly died, likely from malaria, though some say he was poisoned, César's political allies began to turn on him. Without his father's papal protection, César's enemies saw their chance to strike. His downfall was swift. He was arrested, escaped, and then died in battle just a few years later. The once powerful Borgia family was left scattered, and their empire crumbled. And for the final ironic twist, César, the man who had been so ruthless in eliminating rivals, was ultimately defeated not by force, but by losing his political connections. The fall of the Borgias shows that even the most powerful families can't survive without a strong network of support. The Borgia legacy, truth or just gossip? So, were the Borgias really as bad as history makes them out to be? It's hard to separate fact from fiction. Sure, they were ruthless, and yes, there were plenty of mysterious deaths around them. But a lot of what we know about them comes from their enemies, people who were just as corrupt, just as power-hungry, and just as willing to lie. Was Lucrezia really a poisoner, or just a victim of nasty gossip? Did Caesar actually kill his own brother, or is that just a juicy story? The truth lies somewhere in between. What we do know is that the Borgias were masters of survival in a time when power was everything. And even though the Borgia family's reign of power was short-lived, their legacy of scandal and intrigue has lasted for centuries. They were the original crime family, and their story remains one of the juiciest in history. So what do you think? Were the Borgias the ultimate crime family, or just victims of bad press? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more historical gossip and scandal. Thanks for watching.